Let me ask you something no one else dares to say out loud. What if your erection problems aren't because you're old, but because of what's on your plate? You heard me right. It's not your age, it's not bad luck, and it's not just what happens to men after 60. The truth is far more empowering and far more urgent. What you eat every single day could be silently destroying your ability to perform, or it could be the key to bringing it all back. My name is Dr. Mohit Kara. I'm a board-certified urologist and professor at Baylor College of Medicine, with over 30 years of experience helping men overcome sexual health issues. I've treated thousands of patients, men just like you, who walked into my office feeling embarrassed, defeated, even hopeless. Many of them believed they were out of options. Almost all of them were wrong. Because here's what nobody tells you. Erectile dysfunction is not just a bedroom issue. It's a blood flow issue. And blood flow is something we can fix, naturally and often permanently, with the right foods. That may sound too simple to be true, but I'll show you exactly how it works. And why the solution you've been searching for doesn't come in a bottle, but in your grocery bag. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal the 4 foods that could transform your erections, and the 3 that are secretly holding you back. And the last one on the list? It's the most powerful of them all, so don't go anywhere. What you're about to hear could change everything. Before we dive in, if you're serious about reclaiming your health and vitality, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell, so you never miss powerful, life-changing tips made specifically for men like you. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0, and let me know how I can serve you better. Now that you understand the real root of the problem and the power you have to change it, let's get into the heart of it. Here are 4 specific plant-based foods that can dramatically improve blood flow, boost nitric oxide, and help restore strong, reliable erections, naturally. 1. Leafy green vegetables. Spinach, arugula, kale, beet greens. If there's one group of foods I wish every man over 60 would fall in love with, it's leafy greens. I've seen the difference they make. Not just in the lab, not just in the research, but in real men's lives. Spinach, arugula, kale, beet greens. They may not sound exciting, but what they do for your blood vessels is nothing short of powerful. Let me tell you a story. A patient of mine, Robert, came to see me at 63. He was healthy for the most part, but had been quietly struggling with weaker erections for over a year. He'd tried supplements, even considered medication, but he didn't like the idea of depending on a pill. After some testing, we discovered what I already suspected: poor circulation. His arteries weren't flexible like they used to be. The blood simply wasn't flowing the way it needed to, and without blood flow, there is no erection. I told Robert about leafy greens and how they're rich in natural nitrates, not the chemical kind, but the kind your body converts into nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for opening up blood vessels. Nitric oxide is like nature's way of saying, let the blood flow. And that's exactly what needs to happen to achieve and maintain a strong erection. We built leafy greens into every meal: spinach in the morning smoothie, arugula salads for lunch, kale sautéed with dinner. Within weeks, he noticed the difference. Within 3 months, he was performing like he hadn't in years. And all without a single prescription. What makes leafy greens so unique is that they don't just temporarily help blood flow. They help repair the inner lining of your blood vessels, called the endothelium. This means over time, you're not just getting better erections. You're reversing the damage that caused the problem in the first place. That's real healing. And it's why I call leafy greens the cornerstone of erectile recovery. Of course, no one food works in isolation. Leafy greens are powerful, but when you combine them with other plant-based allies, the results become even more impressive. Which brings us to a surprising food, one that's sweet, earthy, and often overlooked, but may work faster than anything else when it comes to natural performance. Let's talk about it. If you're still here and this message is resonating with you, drop a number 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me on this journey. Now, let's keep going and dive into the second powerful food that can help you take back control of your health. 2. Beets. I'll be honest with you. When I first started talking to patients about beets, most of them laughed. Beets, doc? Really? They'd roll their eyes or tell me it reminded them of something their grandmother used to serve at Sunday dinner. But after a few weeks of adding beets to their meals, the tone always changed. One man even said, "I don't know what kind of magic is in those purple things, but I haven't felt this alive in years." Beets are one of the most underrated yet powerful foods for men's sexual health, especially after 60. What makes them special is their incredibly high nitrate content. Yes, just like leafy greens, but even more concentrated. When you eat beets, your body converts those natural nitrates into nitric oxide, the very molecule that relaxes and opens up blood vessels. And that's exactly what an erection depends on. Here's what I tell my patients. If you want better blood flow to your heart, brain, and especially your penis, eat beets. Whether it's beet juice in the morning or roasted beets on your salad at lunch, they help your blood vessels expand, improve oxygen delivery, and enhance circulation where it counts. The result? Firmer, longer-lasting erections that feel natural, not forced. One of my longtime patients, George, age 68, started drinking a small glass of beet juice every morning. He was skeptical, but committed. After about 2 weeks, he came in for a follow-up and just smiled at me. "Doc," he said, "I don't know what's in that red juice, but let's just say my wife's been smiling too." We both laughed, but behind the humor was something real: relief, confidence, and the return of a part of life he thought was long gone. Beets don't just help with sexual performance. They also boost stamina and energy. That's why you'll often find endurance athletes drinking beet juice before a race. The improved blood flow and oxygenation help with physical exertion, including sexual activity, which can become more demanding as we age. And here's the best part. Beets are simple to add to your routine. Roast them, blend them, juice them, or grate them raw into a salad. However you like them, just eat them. The science is strong, and the results speak for themselves. Now, if beets surprised you, wait until you hear what's next. This next food might be sitting in your pantry right now, and it works in a completely different way, by helping your body produce the very building blocks of nitric oxide itself. Ready to find out what it is? Let's keep going. 3. Nuts, especially walnuts and pistachios. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Some of the most powerful tools for your erections might already be sitting in your kitchen cabinet, in the form of nuts. Simple, humble, and often overlooked, walnuts and pistachios are far more than just heart-healthy snacks. For men over 60, they can be an essential part of reclaiming sexual vitality. I still remember a conversation I had with a patient named Frank, 66 years old, a retired firefighter who prided himself on staying active. He came to me not because he was struggling in every way, but because something had changed. His erections were weaker, shorter, less predictable. He didn't feel like himself. "I'm not asking to be 25 again," he said. "I just want to feel like a man." After we talked, I encouraged Frank to make a few simple changes, and one of them was to start eating a handful of nuts daily, specifically walnuts and pistachios. Why? Because they're rich in an amino acid called L-arginine, which helps your body produce nitric oxide. That's the same molecule responsible for opening your blood vessels and allowing strong, sustained erections. But that's not all. Nuts are also packed with healthy fats that support testosterone levels, reduce inflammation, and keep your heart and circulation in top shape. Frank started adding pistachios as an afternoon snack and walnuts into his oatmeal. Within a month, he came back grinning. "It's working," he said. "I feel stronger, not just in the bedroom, but all around." That's the thing about real, food-based healing. It doesn't just touch one part of your life, it lifts all of it. What's incredible about nuts is how easy they are to incorporate. You don't need to cook, blend, or prep. Just grab a handful and go. And the benefits aren't just anecdotal. There are actual clinical studies showing that men who eat nuts regularly report improved erectile function, increased sexual satisfaction, and even higher libido. It's real, it's natural, and it's right there in your pantry. But food isn't just about fuel, it's information. Every bite you take tells your body what to do, how to feel, and how to perform. And as powerful as nuts are, the next food on our list does something truly special. It doesn't just support your blood flow, it helps protect your blood vessels from long-term damage. It's sweet, it's colorful, and it just might be the most delicious way to care for your manhood. Let's take a closer look. If you're still watching and these insights are hitting home for you, type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. Now, let's keep moving forward with the fourth and final food that could make a real difference in your performance. 4. Berries, especially blueberries and strawberries. There's something almost poetic about how the smallest, most colorful foods can make the biggest difference. Berries, especially blueberries and strawberries, might seem like innocent additions to your breakfast or dessert, but they carry an incredible secret. They're powerful protectors of your blood vessels, and by extension, your erections. I remember a patient named Henry, a quiet 71-year-old widower who had recently started dating again. He came into my office one afternoon and said, "Doc, I didn't think I'd be having this conversation at my age, but I'd like to feel ready when the moment comes." His blood pressure was fine, cholesterol under control, but he had noticed a gradual decline in his firmness and stamina. Nothing dramatic, just enough to make him second-guess himself. What Henry didn't know was that the problem was likely happening on a microscopic level, tiny dysfunctions in the lining of his blood vessels, quietly slowing down blood flow over time. That's where berries come in. Rich in flavonoids, especially anthocyanins, the compounds that give them their bright colors, berries help protect and repair the endothelium, the inner lining of your arteries. When this lining is healthy, it produces more nitric oxide, keeps blood vessels flexible, and allows for strong, sustained erections. I told Henry to start his day with a cup of mixed berries. Fresh or frozen didn't matter. He stirred them into oatmeal, blended them into smoothies, even had them as a dessert after dinner. 6 weeks later, he came back with a quiet smile and a new energy in his step. "Let's just say," he told me, "I'm glad I asked for help." There's also solid science behind the story. A long-term Harvard study of over 25,000 men found that those who consumed higher amounts of flavonoids, especially from berries, had a significantly lower risk of developing erectile dysfunction. We're not talking about exotic superfoods flown in from across the world, just simple berries you can pick up at any grocery store. Beyond their effect on circulation, berries also reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and help keep blood sugar stable, factors that all contribute to better sexual health over time. They're nature's sweet little medicine, disguised as dessert. But here's the thing, what you add to your plate is only half the equation. The other half is what you remove. Because while some foods can help restore your vitality, others quietly work against you, sabotaging your performance without you even realizing it. If you've been doing everything right but still not seeing results, these next 3 foods could be the hidden culprits holding you back. Let's talk about what you need to cut before you can truly reclaim your strength. 1. Processed meats. Bacon, sausage, deli meats. This one hits hard for a lot of men, and believe me, I get it. Bacon in the morning, a sausage sandwich at lunch, or a stacked deli sub might be part of your routine. For years, these foods have felt like comfort, tied to tradition, manhood, and even nostalgia. But I need to tell you something, not to shame you, but because I care. These very foods might be slowly cutting off the blood flow that makes your erections possible. Processed meats are packed with saturated fat, salt, and chemical preservatives. The kind that don't just clog arteries in your heart, but also in the delicate vessels that supply blood to your penis. The truth is, your sexual health is often one of the first signs of vascular damage, even before you ever experience chest pain or a heart attack. And the arteries in the penis are among the smallest in the body, which means they're the first to get restricted when plaque starts to build up. I had a patient named Jerry, 64 years old, who loved his bacon and egg breakfasts. He also loved pepperoni pizza and cold-cut sandwiches. He wasn't overweight, didn't have diabetes, and he walked a few times a week. But he was frustrated that his erections weren't as firm as they used to be, even though he thought he was doing mostly fine. We ran some tests, and while nothing looked critical, his cholesterol was edging higher, and he showed early signs of endothelial dysfunction, the same issue that narrows arteries and weakens blood flow. Rather than reaching for a prescription first, we looked at his diet. Jerry agreed to cut processed meats for a month. He swapped bacon for avocado, chose grilled chicken over salami, and started exploring plant-based proteins a few times a week. When he came back, he said, "Doc, I don't know if it's coincidence, but things have definitely improved. Morning's better, confidence is better. My wife noticed too." Now, was it just about the meat? Not entirely, but cutting it out gave his blood vessels a break. It reduced inflammation, lightened the load on his arteries, and allowed his body to start healing. That's the thing, you don't always notice the damage while it's happening, but when you start removing the blockers, the results can come faster than you'd think. And Jerry isn't alone. Dozens of studies have shown the link between high intake of processed meats and poor cardiovascular health, and since erections are a cardiovascular event, the connection is clear. But processed meats are just one part of the story. There's another culprit that might look harmless, even healthy, but it's doing quiet damage from the inside out. It's sitting on your kitchen shelf, shows up in most restaurants, and spikes your blood sugar in a way that can shut down your performance without warning. Let's take a closer look. 2. Refined carbohydrates, white bread, pasta, pastries. This one tends to fly under the radar because it doesn't sound nearly as threatening as bacon or fast food. In fact, for many of the men I talk to, these foods are part of what they consider a normal diet. Toast in the morning, a sandwich for lunch, maybe some pasta or a dinner roll at night. But the reality is, refined carbs can be just as damaging to your sexual health as the worst processed meats. Maybe even more, because their effects are subtle, quiet, and cumulative. Refined carbohydrates, like white bread, white rice, pasta made from white flour, pastries, and sugary snacks, break down almost instantly into glucose in your body. That sudden spike in blood sugar leads to a cascade of problems that hit your erections where it hurts most. High blood sugar increases insulin, and high insulin over time leads to insulin resistance. That means more fat stored around your belly, lower testosterone levels, and more inflammation in your arteries. A triple threat to your performance in the bedroom. I had a patient named Thomas, 69 years old, who came to see me not because of a specific problem, but because he just didn't feel right anymore. His energy was low, his confidence was fading. And he'd started avoiding intimacy because, as he put it just wasn't working the way it used to. He was active, took his walks, and thought he was eating okay, until we went through his meals. Toast and jam for breakfast, white pasta with butter and cheese for dinner, a cookie or two before bed. It added up. We talked about the blood sugar roller coaster and how those foods weren't fueling his body, they were draining it. I asked him to try something different for just a few weeks, whole grains instead of white flour, sweet potatoes instead of white rice, berries instead of cookies. Nothing extreme, just smart swaps. 3 weeks later, Thomas told me, "Doc, I didn't know food could make that much of a difference. I thought I was just getting old, but I feel clearer, more awake, and things are definitely working better down there." The thing is, your body responds fast when you take away the foods that are blocking its natural processes. You can restore hormonal balance, reduce inflammation, and start producing more nitric oxide, the molecule that relaxes blood vessels and brings blood where it needs to go. But there's one more offender we need to talk about. And while refined carbs sneak in through your daily meals, this last one attacks your blood flow more aggressively, through the greasy, golden-fried indulgences most of us were raised to love. If you think cutting a few pastries helped, wait until you see what happens when you ditch this next food. Let's talk about it. 3. Fried foods and fast food. I know how tempting it is. You're driving home after a long day, you're tired, maybe even a little stressed, and that fast food sign feels like comfort. Fried chicken, French fries, a quick burger. It's cheap, convenient, and it fills you up. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. These foods are doing far more harm than you can see, especially when it comes to your sexual performance. Fried foods and fast food are loaded with trans fats, processed oils, and additives that your body simply doesn't know what to do with. These ingredients cause inflammation, damage the delicate lining of your blood vessels, and reduce your body's ability to produce nitric oxide, the very substance you need to get and keep an erection. Over time, this kind of diet hardens your arteries, stiffens your circulation, and leaves you wondering why your energy, stamina, and confidence aren't what they used to be. One of my patients, Alan, a 62-year-old former truck driver, came to me with classic signs of poor blood flow, numbness, fatigue, and inconsistent erections. He was eating out almost every day, not because he didn't care, but because it had become part of his routine. "It's just easier," he told me, "and it tastes good, but lately, I don't feel like myself." After some tests, the picture became clear. His cholesterol was high, his arteries were under stress, and his testosterone was lower than expected. The greasy meals were catching up with him, not just in his heart, but in his bedroom. We made a deal. Alan agreed to cut fried foods for 30 days. Instead, he started cooking simple meals at home, using olive oil instead of vegetable oil, baking instead of frying, and keeping fast food as an occasional treat rather than a habit. It didn't take long. Within weeks, his energy came back. He lost a few pounds, but more importantly, he felt like himself again, clear-headed, lighter on his feet, and yes, more capable when it mattered most. This isn't just anecdotal. The science backs it up. Diets high in trans fats and fried foods are directly linked to cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, obesity, and erectile dysfunction. The arteries that fuel your erection are incredibly sensitive, and these foods are among the fastest ways to damage them. You don't have to be perfect, but every time you skip that deep-fried combo meal, you're choosing better blood flow, stronger performance, and a longer, healthier life. Now that you know what to avoid, the next step is putting this knowledge into action. What should you do today, tomorrow, and next week to start rebuilding your confidence from the inside out? Let me guide you through the exact steps to take. Simple, powerful, and proven, to help you feel like yourself again. Let's move forward. Your next step. Now that you know the truth, the foods that can heal and the ones that quietly harm, you might be wondering, so what do I do next? That question matters more than anything, because knowledge alone won't change your life. Action will. I've seen too many men take this information, nod their heads, and then walk back into the same habits that slowly wore them down. Not because they didn't care, not because they weren't smart, but because they didn't know how to begin. So let me make this simple for you. Start by choosing just one meal each day to take back control. Maybe it's breakfast. Swap the bacon and toast for oatmeal topped with berries and walnuts. Maybe it's lunch. Trade the fast food burger for a spinach and arugula salad with olive oil and some grilled protein. Maybe it's dinner. Roast some beets, steam some greens, and add a handful of pistachios afterward for dessert. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for consistent. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to start nudging your body in the right direction. The body is incredibly forgiving. Even if you've eaten poorly for decades, your blood vessels can begin to heal, your nitric oxide levels can rise, and your performance can return. I've watched it happen again and again, not in theory, but in real life, with real men just like you. Also, move your body. You don't need to run marathons. A simple 20 to 30-minute walk each day can make a huge impact on circulation, insulin sensitivity, and hormone levels. Breathe deeper, sleep better, say no to the foods that steal your strength, and yes to the ones that feed your fire. And most importantly, don't give up. If you've felt frustrated, ashamed, or even afraid that your best days are behind you, I want you to know that you're not alone, and you're not out of time. You're just waiting for the right tools and the right moment, and this might be it. Because there's something else I want to share with you before we close, something that ties all of this together. It's not just about food, or exercise, or even erections. It's about something deeper. Let's talk about what's really at stake, and what you stand to reclaim when you take back your health. Conclusion. If you've made it this far, I want to say something directly from me to you. Thank you. Not just for listening, but for caring, for showing up, for deciding that your health, your confidence, and your quality of life are worth fighting for, because they are. They always have been. Let's take a moment and bring it all together. We began with a truth most men never hear. Your erection is a reflection of your circulation. It's not just about aging, and it's certainly not about failure. It's about blood flow, plain and simple. The same arteries that feed your heart and your brain are the ones responsible for performance in the bedroom. When they're clogged, stiff, or inflamed, things don't work the way they used to. But when they're clean, open, and flexible, the results can feel like turning back the clock. And here's the most powerful part. You have control. Not through expensive prescriptions or risky procedures, but through the simple, consistent choices you make every day at the table. Food isn't just fuel, it's medicine, it's information. Every bite you take is either healing you or harming you. There's no neutral ground. We talked about the 4 foods that can rebuild your strength from the inside out. Leafy greens, beets, nuts, and berries. These are the allies you want in your corner. They work with your body to increase nitric oxide, reduce inflammation, improve blood flow, and support your hormone levels. They're not magic, but the results can feel magical when you experience what real nourishment can do. Then we covered the hidden enemies: processed meats, refined carbs, and fried or fast foods. These are the slow, silent saboteurs that take away your vitality one bite at a time. Maybe not immediately, but over months and years, they wear you down. They clog your arteries, disrupt your hormones, and slowly choke off your ability to perform and feel alive. I know how hard it can be to let go of certain habits. I know that food is tied to memory, identity, even comfort. But I also know what it feels like for a man to sit across from me, unsure of himself, quietly grieving the version of him that feels like it's slipping away. And I've seen the look on his face when that feeling starts to come back. Not just the physical strength, but the pride, the confidence, the light in his eyes. This isn't just about sex. It's about self-worth, about relationships, about waking up in the morning feeling capable, energized, and grounded in your body. It's about reconnecting with your partner, not just physically, but emotionally. It's about breaking the silence that so many men carry, thinking they're the only ones going through this. You're not. Millions of men are silently struggling, blaming themselves, and being told this is just part of getting old. But I don't accept that, and neither should you. You deserve better. You deserve to feel strong, vital, and connected. You deserve to feel like yourself again. And yes, it takes effort. Yes, it means making different choices. But the reward? It's bigger than you think. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress. You don't need to become a health guru overnight. Just start with one meal, one walk, one decision to choose something healing instead of something harmful. Small hinges swing big doors. I often say this to my patients, and I'll say it to you now. There's no such thing as too late. Your body wants to heal. It's always working in your favor if you give it the chance. No matter how long you've been stuck, how frustrated you feel, or how far gone you think things are, I promise you this. Change is possible. And you don't have to do it alone. Find support. Talk to your doctor. Share this journey with your partner. Let them know you're not giving up. You're showing up for yourself, for your relationship, for your future. Because here's the truth I've learned in over 3 decades of treating men's health. It's never just about the symptom. It's about the man behind it, his story, his struggle, his resilience. So what happens next is entirely up to you. You have the knowledge now. You know what foods to embrace, what habits to shift, and what steps to take. The only question left is, are you ready to begin? If the answer is yes, then I want you to remember this moment. This is the day you stop settling. This is the day you choose to believe that your best days are still ahead. This is the day you start showing your body and yourself the respect, patience, and care it's been asking for. And if you're still unsure, still hesitant, that's okay too. Just promise me one thing. Don't forget what you've learned here. Let it sit with you. Let it stir something in you, because when the time comes, and it will, you'll remember that you have a choice. To every man who's felt invisible. To every man who's felt powerless. To every man who thought he had to give up a part of who he is to keep going. You don't. You're stronger than you think. And your next chapter? It can be better than the last. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me with your time, your attention, and maybe even a little bit of your hope. Take this message with you, share it with someone who needs it, and above all else, take care of yourself, because you deserve to feel alive again. And now, you know how. If this message spoke to you, if even one part of it made you stop and think, I invite you to take a moment to support this work. Give this video a like so more men like you can find it. Share it with someone you care about, someone who might be silently struggling and just needs the right information at the right time. Leave a comment below and let me know what hit home for you most. I read every one. And if you'd like to go a step further, consider making a small donation to help keep this content going. I create these messages to empower, to inform, and to give hope, without sponsors, gimmicks, or sales pitches. Your support helps me continue offering free, real guidance for men who deserve the truth. You're not alone in this. There's a whole community here of men reclaiming their health one step at a time. Join us. Stay engaged, stay strong, and remember, your next chapter can start today. Thank you for being here.